In the 22 years since Wolfenstein 3D pioneered the first-person shooter, the series has had some big ups and downs. The latest reboot, Wolfenstein: The New Order, is easily the most story-driven and slickly produced iteration to date, even if some misplaced loyalty to old design keeps it one step behind many modern shooters. Wolfenstein: The New Order gets its title from its alternate timeline. In this game, the Nazis won World War II and subsequently seized control of much of the world. So we aren't storming the beaches of Normandy for the 10th time, but instead doing interesting things we don't see in typical World War II games, like assaulting heavily fortified Nazi castles in the heart of Germany, sabotaging their fictional bridge between Gibraltar and Africa, and even tangling with the Nazis' advanced space program. Longtime Wolfenstein protagonist BJ Blazkowicz returns in The New Order, but he isn't just a gun-toting meathead he's typically portrayed as. There's an almost shocking amount of depth to him. The New Order explores his patriotism and bravery, but it also explores his ability to love and care for others. Needless to say, Blazkowicz has never been this deep and dynamic, and this, along with some fantastic writing and voice acting, inherently makes The New Order more engaging. I also commend developer Machine Games for dealing with the Nazis in a more realistic fashion than previous Wolfenstein games. No, the Third Reich didn't create building-sized mechs, have dogs with heavy armor fused to them, or inject their soldiers with tons of chemicals. But that's much more grounded in reality than the paranormal, occult focus of some previous Wolfenstein reboots, and that makes the alternate Nazis' atrocities seem slightly more real. I also appreciated Machine Games' willingness to explore actual Nazi war crimes during the campaign, from forced labor camps to the mistreatment of the mentally ill. The studio even alludes to how these alternate history Nazis are treating occupied America's non-Aryan population. Wolfenstein: The New Order doesn't shine quite as bright as a shooter. While it does certain novel things that I really liked, and while it was fun to play, I wish its gameplay more evenly met its presentation. The New Order gets off to a bad start with a frustrating opening sequence that takes seemingly forever to put an actual gun in your hand. But once you do get into the action, you'll find a responsive shooter that runs smoothly and plays well. I was a bit confounded by Wolfenstein's dual-wielding options, which are universally difficult to aim and not all that useful, but apart from that, the New Order's gunplay is strong. It's complemented by a thoughtful and unique skill tree that doesn't require you to earn experience points or spend skill points, but insists that you do certain things in-game, oftentimes in a specific order. Kill with this weapon, score this number of headshots, successfully toss a couple of grenades, and the skills will start popping up in earnest, sharpening your abilities in the process. I also enjoyed the semi-explorative qualities of the New Order, something that's in the DNA of the Wolfenstein series. There are hidden compartments and rooms to find, plenty of gold, letters, and enigma codes to discover and collect, and a really cool emphasis on stealth gameplay that makes many parts of the campaign more manageable. Taking down commanders before they can call for reinforcements also unlocks more secrets, which is a great incentive to not go in guns blazing. It was incredibly satisfying to slink through open-world maps, silently slaying unsuspecting Nazis, though this stealth-driven gameplay also exposed some of the AI's biggest weaknesses, like their occasional blindness to dead bodies and uneven view detection. Unfortunately, the New Order feels decidedly old in one specific way, in how it has you collect weapons, ammunition, armor, and health. This stuff is literally everywhere, and yet you have to tediously collect it manually with a button press instead of actually just running into it or over it. Worse yet, you'll often see the on-screen prompt to collect something before you even see what you're collecting. Eventually, I just started habitually tapping the collecting button everywhere I went, which takes away from some of the exploration and atmosphere. Playing Wolfenstein: The New Order was more than a trip down shooter memory lane. As a fan of the franchise, it was especially refreshing to play an entry that felt more grounded and realistic, even if the subject matter is far out and unlikely. The New Order isn't changing the name of the game when it comes to shooters, but its story, settings, and production values are commendable, and I like some of the little tweaks and changes it brings. And hey, BJ Blazkowicz is a human being after all, go figure. For more on all things Wolfenstein, keep it tuned to IGN. And now, let's kill some Nazis.